Hello, I'm Valerie Biden Owens, Chair of the Biden Institute at the University of Delaware. Today I have the privilege of introducing Mayor Leirion Gaylor Baird. She was sworn in for her second term as Lincoln's 52nd mayor in May 2023. Thank you, Mayor, for joining us on this episode of All Politics is Personal, a program where we introduce the public to the person behind the politician. Anyone can research your policies and accomplishments, but that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to talk about you, about your life growing up Gaylor.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you to the Biden Institute for doing this series. And I would say that growing up Gaylor was growing up in the house of public school teachers. Both my parents taught in high schools. My dad was a basketball coach and the biology teacher. My mom taught English and journalism and did yearbook. And for the longest time, I thought all adults had their summers off. So, but really what I witnessed growing up in my family was that your career could have a lot of purpose, and that purpose could mean a lot to the people you affect. I can't even tell you how many times we'd be out walking around town in the community and someone would come up to my dad and say, Coach, thank you for this, and to my mother as well. So I think that really the idea that you can have a great sense of purpose in what you do, whatever you do, was instilled into me growing up in my household of public servants.
And as a public servant, teacher, did you ever consider? I was a high school teacher for history at Wilmington Friends in Delaware. Did you ever consider going into education?
I thought about it, but I saw that hard work correcting papers late at night, and so that wasn't my first instinct. I did think about perhaps becoming a journalist. I loved to read growing up. My mom used to take me to the library, the public library, and I would check out books. And from the youngest age, I was a real bookworm. And it was my passport to other places. You know, teacher salaries don't afford fancy vacations. We would go camping in the summertime for our vacation. But books took me to different places and exposed me to different opportunities and ideas. And so I did think about becoming a journalist, someone who could tell stories and make a difference in that way. So early on, that was an aspiration.
Where'd you grow up? I should ask you that. What city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
And do you have siblings?
I do. I have a sister who still lives there.
And are you a younger, I don't want the age, are you a big sister or a little sister?
I'm a big sister.
You're a big sister. And look, I have 3 brothers, and I know it's not easy raising an older brother, let alone 2 younger ones. So I understand.
Right.
Tell me some of your earliest childhood memories. Besides you said you went camping, and in the tent on the ground or
on the ground in the Wallowa Mountains. My dad was a bow hunter and fisherman, so he would go off for the day hunting, and we would stay in camp and build forts and have pine cone wars and read and wash dishes in a very cold mountain stream. But some of my earliest memories, I think what I think of when I think of my mother now is just my earliest memory of holding her finger, when I was very young, reaching up to hold her hand, but really only grasping a finger, and the warm, soft finger of my mother, the kind of care and protection you feel from your parents. That's sort of my earliest memory.
Fortunate memories, a fortunate childhood. Did you go to the same high school that your parents taught in?
I did not, but my father, when he retired, did some substitute teaching, and at one point he did sub in my physics class, and he pretended to have a hard time pronouncing my name, and other people jumped in to try and help him, not realizing he was my dad. It was a comedy.
What was your favorite course then in high school?
I loved English. I loved learning how to use words well, you can always get better at telling a story or creating an argument, or I loved my English classes, and I was fortunate to have really good English teachers in high school.
And you liked school?
I did.
So were you the teacher's pet, or the jock, or the actress, or the lead? What was your, besides the subject matter, what else was about school that you liked?
Well, I would probably have been called a teacher's pet by my friends and classmates. I did play 3 varsity sports. I played basketball, and I also ran cross country and track. Running is sort of the sport that no one else does unless it's a punishment, but it was a good sport for building strength and endurance. And being part of a team is so valuable.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed having that opportunity, and I was on student council, senior class president.
I think one of the things that's most important about sports is what's lacking today because of all the environment and the commotion and COVID and not being together, that sports really builds, besides the personal satisfaction, it really builds character because you have to learn to play with other kids and do it the right way.
My sister and I have conversations about this. My younger sister was the real jock in the family, and she went on to play college basketball. And I think what you see today that's different from when we were growing up is that it's harder to get in the game. There are so many club sports or traveling teams and things that require a significant amount of resources. We felt lucky that we could just play for our school. And being in a sport does teach you character. It teaches you how to win gracefully, but also how to lose gracefully and take the lessons from a loss and help them make you a better person and a better athlete. And I want more kids in our communities everywhere to have those opportunities.
Well, without being sounding like a wise guy, how the heck did you get from Oregon to Yale? That's a big distance. And why? And then Oxford. I mean, you graduated magna cum laude from Yale, no small feat.
In the history major, your subject.
And yeah, and I think you got a special citation or distinction for that. So I think you did quite well for yourself, young lady. But why? Wasn't that a big leap, or
It was huge.
or was it normal for your family?
No, it wasn't normal. But again, my parents valued education, and they were prepared and willing to make sacrifices to let me live my educational dreams. I had no idea where I could get in when I was applying to college back in the day. I applied to big schools and small schools and schools on the East Coast, schools on the West Coast. And when I was accepted at Yale, it was about the time Dead Poets Society had come out as a movie.
Yeah.
And that whole imagery of kind of Gothic opportunities to see a different part of our country and to learn from experts in so many fields. And, that was an irresistible opportunity. And I felt very fortunate to have that opportunity.
What was your first job?
My first job was when I was 15, and I worked at a Honey Baked Ham, doing all the things, dishwashing, running the cash register, serving meals.
And what was your first political experience?
When I was in high school, I had the opportunity to shadow a county commissioner for a day. I applied and was accepted, and it was really wonderful. It was the first female county commissioner and chair of the county commission. And so it just made it seem real. It made it seem accessible to me. I mean, I think maybe what you're doing with the all politics is personal. That person allowed me a personal interaction that made a difference to make it seem like it was something that I could do one day.
Well, what flipped the switch to make you interested or be politically active and jump in and run for elective office? Because that is not a jump in. I mean, that is a major dive. What pushed you to flip that switch? And where were you in your life when you did that?
Well, I've called Lincoln, Nebraska home now for almost 24 years. My husband is a native Nebraskan, and we moved there when our first child was 4 months old. And as I looked to make my way and make my place and ways to contribute in our community, I just got involved in some of the nonprofits and looking at ways, my heart is in helping young people access opportunities the way that education opened doors for me. And so with my background in nonprofit youth development programs, I got invested in some of the community organizations in Lincoln that were doing similar work. And I wasn't actually looking to run for office in my husband's hometown. But as I got more involved, as I became a planning commissioner, I saw how you could think strategically about growing a community and implementing a vision of making it better for not just your kids, but everyone's kids. And I was hooked. I served 6 years on the Planning Commission. Like a lot of women, it actually took someone suggesting it to me and recruiting me to run. And once I did run for city council and served 6 years there, one thing led to another, and when the opportunity became available to run for mayor, my husband and I had a long talk about whether or not that was something that we would want to do. There are a lot of sacrifices, but we talked about the ordinary and the extraordinary and how this was an opportunity to do something outside the ordinary. Not everyone would call being mayor extraordinary, but for us it was, to make that kind of commitment to our community and to model that public service for our children. It's really a team effort, it's a family effort, and we made the decision to go ahead and do it.
Well, you know, I have a brother in politics.
You know.
And he has always said that the hardest job is that of being a mayor. Everybody knows where you live.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Everybody
they do.
sees you every day in the community, and you're expected to take care of and make things good, better. Did you ever think of running for federal office?
No, I haven't. Mayors, I mean, it really is the best job, I think, in government because you are so close to the people. So yes, they can find you at the grocery store, they can stop you in the streets and share their concerns, but it's so gratifying when you move an initiative forward that you can see the way it's making life better for your friends and neighbors. And so I love local government. That is my happy place, and I feel lucky to have this brief moment where I get to do this work before I hand on the baton to the next person, because that is how I see the role.
How about your children? Are they active with you in campaigning and your husband, or they are they the sidekicks who go on those parades with you? I mean, we were raised in it, but there wasn't an opportunity. We weren't raised with it with my mom and dad, but since my brother was in politics, we all went in and jumped in.
My kids have always been much more interested in what's going on at, in school and their classes with their friends. And
what are their ages?
Well, my oldest is 23. My middle, my son, is 21, and my youngest daughter is 17.
So you have girl, boy, girl. That's what we have.
It's a good combination.
It's a good combination. Yeah. All right. On a less serious note, because you're so active and you've got so much on your mind, what do you do when you do nothing?
I don't know if I do nothing ever, but when I have some downtime or a weekend without a public event, which is rare, I mean, a dream morning for me is sitting down with a cup of coffee and the actual newspaper. It shows you my age.
Among your friends or your companions, and being in public office, you have hundreds of acquaintances, but to choose to spend time with, what's the most valuable trait that you look for in an individual? Who's your friend? Not I don't have to the most, but what do you value more?
I really value in my friends people who are thoughtful, who are good listeners, and who like to have fun. So that's a trifecta for me. If they like to dance, if they like to have long conversations, if they're interested in engaging in the world, I mean, that gives some meaning to me in my relationship.
So you like to dance?
I do.
I would rather dance than do just about anything. I love it. And my father was a great dancer. He was a great ballroom dancer.
Oh, really? My oldest daughter is a dancer. I'm a recovering dance mom as well, and my oldest daughter grew up doing ballet and dancing. She's now in a salsa company and also does some competitive ballroom. So I'm really getting to see how hard it is to do dance at that level. I'm just an amateur.
Well, I just did it for fun. I mean, I know, Mira, I have potential. I just was not able to express it, but someday. I mean, there's still someday. Now, are you ready for some silly questions?
Sure.
What profession other than your own would you attempt?
SNL cast member would be my dream.
One word to describe yourself.
Thoughtful.
What's your favorite movie?
Crazy Stupid Love.
Kind of music?
R&B. R&B.
Okay, I'm with you there. Food?
Ice cream.
I'm with you there. What's your hidden talent?
I take so much satisfaction in giving gifts and finding just the right gift for the people I love.
So when were you born?
I'm a Gemini. I was born on June 18th.
Okay, and do you put any stock in what a Gemini is supposed to be?
Well, it's a sign of the twin, and while I'm not a twin, I think that when you it's very valuable as a mayor to try to see things from different perspectives. So a twin who can see something from one person's as well as another's perspective is very important as we try to have open minds and open hearts and do our job well.
Boy, did you just expand the definition of a Gemini. You ought to be their spokesperson. I'm a Scorpio, so there's not much
Should we go there?
Not unless you want some trouble. I'm a good Scorpio. What's your theme song?
Lovely Day by Bill Withers.
Okay, I know that. Favorite vacation spot?
I don't get to take a lot of vacations outside my city, but when I do, I love to see family and my goddaughter who lives in London.
Oh, that's great. I would say any place where there's an ocean and a beach. That's what I would go. Thank you for being with us today. And remember, all politics is personal.
Thank you so much. This has been a lovely day with you.
And thank you to our partners at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation. And remember, all politics is personal.